Welcome to the Purpose Chasers podcast, where those who refuse to let odds or naysayers stand in their way come to chase and catch their true calling. I'm your host, Mark Crandall. In each episode, we shine a spotlight on artists and musicians who dare to dream bigger. You'll hear the real-world tactical moves these Purpose Chasers have taken to carve out their legacies, and I'll break down the marketing strategies you can swipe and implement today. Let's dive in and start chasing our purpose. Don't forget to leave a follow on Spotify or wherever you stream from. Let's dive into this episode. All right. Welcome back, Purpose Chasers, to this episode of the Purpose Chasers podcast. Very excited. I have a guest on the podcast that infiltrated my world. I have Rachel Richards. I'm looking at her book right now, Passive Income, Aggressive Retirement, The Secret to Freedom, Flexibility, and Financial Independence. I never plug people's shit on my podcast, but this chick, we actually started talking and 23 minutes went by and I was like, oh, we should probably record this while the internet's stable. And at the time of this recording, I'm not sure where the world will be at once this recording drops, but at the time of this recording, I believe that the topic of money and how to protect yourself is so important. We are in the midst of the COVID-19. I'm on lockdown. You on lockdown?
Oh yeah, I haven't left this apartment in 5 days.
I haven't left the apartment in 5 days. I haven't even started my car since Tuesday of last week, and it is Thursday, the time of this recording. So I'm going to go for a run after this podcast episode just to keep my own sanity. But before we get into the nitty gritty of this podcast, which I'm super excited, I love talking about money. And there's one thing that my Oma, my grandmother, taught me before I even got sober, which didn't even take hold until after I got out of prison in 2007. And that was that you should always have a minimum of 3 months of all expenses put away because anything can happen at any given time. And I got emotional when I said it. We're in a time right now when there's like a national lockdown and essentially a lot of business has stopped and people are questioning what the hell they're going to do. And I'm sitting over here like, okay, right? Like I have created the financial stability in bank accounts and like in things that like my wife and I could not do anything right now for probably 5 years and live the same life that we're living. Rachel's further than me and she's created streams of passive income. And I'm excited because on the midst of this will be fully launched and already rolling at the time that this episode drops, where the digital marketing company that I own is partnering with 2 real estate wholesalers in Austin. And we are about to turn on a machine to help people save their houses from bank repossessions. And so I will be jumping into the passive income stream. And when everyone was like, buy now, buy, the market's so high, buy. Yeah, great. I'm glad I waited because I'm going to be getting 2 for 1s. So Rachel, welcome to the Purpose Chasers podcast. Super excited to have you. I don't even know where I want to go with this. I just want to skip your bio and how you got to where you are and just started talking money. But can you just give the Purpose Chasers audience a brief description into how you got to where you are? Because I want to spend the majority of our conversation on the good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So my claim to fame is that last year at age 27, I quit my job and retired. And I'm now living off over $10,000 per month in passive income. So Break that down for my audience. What is passive income? And I'm going to stop you a bit in the interview. I don't know. I didn't give you the disclaimer in the beginning, but I really like to simplify things for my audience. I don't like to pretend that they know. I know what passive income is, but can you explain it to them? So passive income is money that is earned with little to no ongoing work. Now, don't get me wrong, it's no get rich quick scheme, right? Like these passive income streams, they take either time or money to build. So there's kind of two stages. In stage one, you're investing the time or you're investing the money to build this passive income stream. And then once you've launched it, once you got it going, it's a lot more hands off. That's when it becomes passive. That's more in stage two. So think of something like buying a rental property. You spend money, you spend months looking for this property, you run the numbers, finally get the property, and then you get it going and you're making cash flow from the rental income each month. And that's pretty passive. Maybe it takes a few hours a week or a few hours a month to manage. Another one is book royalty income. So anyone can go and write and launch an ebook on Amazon. It's totally free to be self-published author. And it takes time to create that work, but then once you have it launched and you have it going, you're making passive income. And I bring those two up specifically because those are my two biggest passive income streams. When I quit my job, I was making $10,000 a month in passive income. Now it's more like $15,000 a month. Just in a span of about 6 months, I was able to increase it. But probably now it's half of that is from rental income. My husband and I own over 35 rental units, like doors in Louisville, Kentucky. And then the other half of that is now from my book. I think in February, I had my first $7,000 month in book sales.
Damn. So is there a backstory to this? What did you come from? Where'd you come from?
My first memory of being obsessed with money, it was in 6th grade. And I remember I found this book. It was called The Motley's Guide for Teens, How to Have More Money Than Your Parents Ever Dreamed Of, or something like that. And what 6th grader wouldn't be excited about that idea? So I remember going to summer camp and all my friends were like going down the water slides in 6th grade and I was sitting by the pool reading this book instead. So that just shows you what a super finance nerd that I am. But that's really what sparked my passion. And I was self-educating and reading and teaching myself about finance all throughout middle school, high school, and college. And then when I graduated, I became a financial advisor. I did that for about a year, continued to work in the finance industry for the next few years and until I quit.
Let's go into that a little bit. So as you know, because you've been following me and you've infiltrated my world, if you will, which I might talk about on this episode or I might not. I've talked about it in the community. You did a really good job of leveraging a relationship to get into my world. And I'm grateful that you're here. And I'm grateful that you didn't send me some cold email that I would have instantly dismissed probably just because of what's going on in the world and the busyness and all of that. But so the Purpose Chasers community is a family of individuals that I've worked really, really hard to collect, to come together, that have a calling and that are probably working jobs right now. And I know because I'm thinking of specific individuals in the community, and they want to start what you've talked about. They want passive income. So they see me with my book and my courses and my things and, the digital marketing company, which I put very little work into, but like it's my brain that has created the income streams, right? Not necessarily passive with the digital marketing, but I have 3 projects that I'm working on that will be passive for the next 5 years. But how did you go bring me through the thoughts and feelings of that year in the finance company? Like, were you constantly like, what am I doing here?
Oh yeah. So when I started as a financial advisor, I started in that career because I had sales experience. So I sold Cutco cutlery throughout college. That's how I paid for school. And I was interested in finance. So I thought, well, this job's the perfect combination of these two things. So I started out, but then it was like draining. I mean, I had to sit in an office with no windows making cold calls 8 hours a day. And who wants to do that? So I quickly realized, this isn't what I was expecting. I want to spend my time actually helping people, not prospecting people. I mean, because what good is that doing anybody? So I don't know when I first had the idea to become financially independent, but I think I always knew in the back of my mind that I would never be satisfied working for somebody else because I didn't want to work my butt off my entire life making somebody else's dreams come true. I wanted to make my own dreams come true. And in order to do that, you have to become financially independent. Now, the thing is, most people, when they hear that, they think, okay, well, I have to save a big chunk of money. I have to save $1 million as early as possible and see if I can try to retire in my 30s and 40s. Now, some people achieve that, but that's freaking hard to do. And I realized, maybe there's an easier way to retire early and to be totally free. Freedom of time, freedom of location, freedom of money. And once I started hearing about this idea of passive income, I had this epiphany, because once your passive income exceeds your expenses, you're retired. You don't have to trade your time for your money anymore. And when you can separate those two things, that's when you can really pursue your passions and make all of your dreams come true.
How did you go for the community member that's listening right now and stating, which I'm guessing is a majority or at least half of the audience, that's thinking in their head, well, good for you, Rachel.
Mm-hmm.
You could do it. What limiting beliefs did you have surrounding actually burning the boat, if you will, and quitting your job? Like, was there thoughts of like, what if this doesn't work out? Like, what if my tenants burn the building down, or they burn me on rent, or like, what was the process of, and I know you well enough to know that you did have limiting beliefs, but you walked through them anyways. What was that process for you?
Yeah, quitting my job, it was always something that I knew was going to be harder than I thought when the time came. And for me, my limiting beliefs were mostly around societal expectations, surprisingly, which for me, that's hard to admit, because I never want to be the person that cares what other people think. But you know what? That's what happened. I cared what other people thought. And I thought, people aren't going to think this is legit. People are going to think I'm, quitting my job and that I don't really have income. And I'm, one of those people, I'm going to take a leap of faith and a net will appear. That's like, I hate that advice. And I kept thinking they're going to think I'm crazy and they're just not going to understand. At the end of the day, who cares? Who cares what they think? I am literally living my best life now, but it was so hard to overcome that. I actually was able to quit my job at the end of 2018 financially, but it took me almost an entire year to actually go through with it. So it was a really scary thing. Financially, my husband and I, we wanted to be sure we would be secure. So we started out thinking, okay, let's have enough passive income to cover our living expenses each month. At the time, it was like $6,000. That's how much we were spending to live each month, which that's a pretty decent chunk of money. Like that, we were very comfortable. Then we were like, you know what? We need to have some buffer, we want to still be able to save money even when we're in retirement. So then that's why we made the goal $10,000 per month. And I'm so glad I did that in hindsight, because you see what's happening now. So even now in the position I'm in, if thousands of dollars of my passive income goes away, I'm still going to be financially secure. So it's so important to always have that buffer room, be conservative. Don't be the person that is going to take the leap of faith and hope the net will appear. Be smart about your decisions. And for someone starting out and wants to start building passive income, in 2017, I had $0 of passive income. I thought this was going to take me 10 or 15 years to achieve, but it only took me 2 or 3 years. So it's amazing what can happen once you get going. But a lot of people, if you're like me, you're overthinking, you're overanalyzing, and that'll make you procrastinate and put things off. The first thing to understand about your situation is, do you have more time or do you have more money? And a lot of people will look at me and say, I don't have either, which of course that's what everyone says. That's what I used to say. So the next question is, okay, well, which one's going to be easier to create? Will it be easier to free up or create more money, or will it be easier to free up more time? Because once you know those constraints, then you can start deciding which passive income stream should I pursue.
And I will challenge anyone that you do have time. That is the biggest crock of shit that I hear it over and over and over again. I'm like, okay, well, the one thing that I preach very often is that if you want to get to a higher level of life, you need to be willing to sacrifice things. So people equate time to what they want to do, and I don't have time because I want to do all of these things. Well, some of the things that you want to do have to go away if you want to be able to do what you want to be able to do for the rest of your life. right?
Exactly. It's that instant gratification versus delayed gratification. You have to make sacrifices now if you want to live this awesome life later.
I think the best analogy is like you in sixth grade, while your friends are playing, you're reading a book about finance. I don't know what I was doing, probably, setting Ninja Turtles on fire or something in sixth grade. Like you were reading a book about finance. I wish I'd learned what I know now and had the mentorship of, some of the individuals that you have mentorship by now when I was younger, but I'm grateful that I didn't, because I wouldn't have the fire that I have now. Does that make sense?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. One of my big challenges in life was paying for college. I grew up in this rich white county and everyone had a lot of money and all my friends had college paid for. And, my family was in a position where I knew I was going to have to foot the bill for my entire college tuition. And that was a really scary thing, especially being as educated as I was financially. I was terrified of graduating with student loans. And so I set this big goal. I said, I'm going to graduate without any debt. The college I went to cost 40 grand a year. I got scholarships to cover 30, but that's still 10 grand a year that, an 18-year-old is going to have to come up with. So that's why I sold Cutco cutlery. It was the first job where the harder I worked, the more I got paid. But you know what? On spring break and on Christmas break and over the summers, you know what I was doing? I was making calls and selling knives. I wasn't partying. I wasn't going out with my friends. And I'm so glad I made those sacrifices. It was hard at the time, but now I graduated without debt. And that just puts you so far ahead of anybody else.
It does. It's an interesting time. I just got off a call with a woman that has had a brick and mortar gym for 25 years. And, the government steps in and mandates a 21-day shutdown. Now she's closing down her business and she has $400 to her name. And it's, as humbly as I can say it, I've been there. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
I've been in similar positions, probably worse because I was homeless, sleeping in a cemetery. But I mean, if you take away the heroin addiction, right, like in what I was going through at that point, it pains me to think that individuals are living in that way with all of the opportunity that we have. And even in the midst of everything that's going on, there's so much opportunity, and there's more opportunity because most people are not looking for opportunity right now.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. And I'm not saying, don't ever have fun. I'm not trying to come off high and mighty or judgy or critical because yeah, absolutely do whatever you want to do. I just am advocating to be informed about the consequences of your decision.
I don't watch TV right now. Like I don't have Xbox. My fun is CrossFit and playing with my son. And, I have a goal of, which I'm not going to share on the podcast, but a financial goal that I have by June. And if I hit it, if I don't hit it, I'm buying a used bass boat. If I hit it, I'm buying I'm not going to buy brand new because that makes no sense financially, but I'm buying a newer version of the boat that I want. But
Nice.
I want to bass fish I was on a call with Tim Rhodes. Do you know Tim?
No, I don't.
He's in GoBundance. He's one of the founders
Oh, cool.
of it. He's good friends with David and Hal. But anyway, so I was on a call with Tim, and Tim goes, Mark, do you want to be a multimillionaire? And I'm like, yeah. I mean, stop it. If you're out there and you're like, I don't want money, you're full of it. Like everyone wants to be rich. It's not the money that you have that defines the man or the woman or the woman or the man. It's how the man or the woman or the woman or the man made the money that defines them, right? So you can be wealthy and still provide a ton of value to the world and have impact, but you can't provide more impact without time and money. And so Tim said to me on this call, he's like, Mark, I want you to close your eyes. And I'm like, okay. He's like, if you could do anything every single morning for the rest of your life, what would you do? And he's like, I don't want you to give me an answer right now. I want you to visualize it. And I remember thinking in my head, like I come downstairs, we have a cabin on a lake, and I don't know how I came up with this, but there's a button in the living room that I push and it opens the walls, and the walls open and I walk out onto the dock, and I walk out and I sit at the end of the dock by my bass boat, and I drink my coffee and I do my meditation. I do my shout out how I do my miracle morning. And then I get in my boat and I go bass fishing, and I fish, and the world's dead and there's mist on the water. And I'm like explaining it to him. And he's like, Mark, how would that make you feel if you did that every day? And I go, Tim, I don't really care about anything else. That's all I really want to do every day. And then he started talking to me about how to create, passive streams of income. And I have a book, and I have courses, and I have, other ventures that are making me money as I'm on this podcast episode. But I think the piece that most individuals in my community miss is something that you highlighted that I kind of want to go back to. And that is the fact that you can get started now. It's not, and this is, at the time of this recording, like this is, if you have a job and you're currently going to it, like this is no time to walk in and, act like Tupac and walk out with your middle fingers in the air, right? Like, but there are actions that you could take. And I originally quit my job, and then I had no clue anything. I had no idea about entrepreneurship at the time. Quit my job, launched out, high hopes, high visions, got scared, went back, found mentorship, started getting coached and taught, started to build my business slowly. And 3 months after going back, I had so much work coming in that I had to quit. So could you give somebody listening in the audience, like some tangible actions like that they could take right now in any situation to start moving the ball forward?
Yeah, for sure. And I love what you just said, because I think it's so important to any side hustle or passive income or whatever income stream you want to pursue. You can pursue that around a full-time job. That's what I did. I wasn't willing to give up my job security on a what if. What if this works out? What if it doesn't though? So you can spend your evenings and your weekends working on building a passive income stream. And like you said, I didn't quit my job until I literally was forced to make a decision, because I didn't have the capacity anymore to do both. I did not have enough time. So at that point, not only did I have enough money, but I was ready to go full time with my book business and the real estate properties. So I think that's a really important point. But what anybody can do to get started is, again, the first step would just be thinking about your time versus your money and which one you have more to invest. And then it's starting to research all the different types of passive income. In my book, I outlined 28 different types. So trust me, there is something out there for everybody. And don't feel like you have to go try everything, because all it takes is one. It takes one passive income stream, and you can continue to grow and grow that passive income stream. Now, other people might say, well, I'm going to do 10 passive income streams, and I'm going to make $500 a month for each one. That's fine too. It's whatever works for you. But just start to research, start to understand, what skills do you already have? If you're a photographer, can you create and upload licensed photography and get licensing in terms of licensing income from those photos that you upload over and over again? What other skills do you have? So in the book, there's royalty income. You can create books, online courses. So then you ask yourself, what do I know more about than the average person? What skill or knowledge do I have? And what is the market need? Because anyone can go out and write a book, but there are millions of books out there. So you have to be able to articulate what is different about your product or service. Why would somebody want to buy your product or service over somebody else's? That's a tough thing to do, but you have to be clear on that from the get-go. And then there's other passive income streams to consider. There's rental income, there's portfolio income, there's ads in e-commerce, there's coin operated machines. So something's going to strike your interest. I recommend either going for whatever seems the easiest to you or whatever excites you the most, because you have to have the passion. You have to feel like you can achieve this and build this, and that you're going to have fun while you're doing it.
So I just have to share this. So I guess I'm going to share it. I'm really baffled by how powerful of a woman you are. Not that I'm going to do some sexist thing here, but like just how powerful of a human you are.
Thank you.
Because it's not even about you being a woman. It's about you being a human, because I read this and I was like, best-selling author, professional speaker, finance guru. Who the hell says that? 27, like, I get like this. It just fires me up. Like, I remember, so I'm going to share the story. So those in the Purpose Chasers community, they know how protective I am of you over who comes on the show and who talks. And I remember, so Rachel, I posted some rant about how many individuals were hitting me up to come on the podcast. And it's a lot, and they're very unskillful in how they do it. You know, I shared, on the call the other night that, somebody hit me up and said, "Oh, I saw you're on House Podcast and da 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 da, and we have very similar messages, and here's how epic I am, and I have this product, and your audience could benefit from." Like, how does that make sense? And I think I just replied back, like, great email copy, very untactful, take care.
Yeah.
Right? Like, whatever I said. Sometimes I don't even respond. Justin and I, we share back the inquiries that we get because it's really comical sometimes. But you posted, how do I get on more podcasts without coming off as a jackass or somebody who's selfish? And it just it flagged my attention. And then I went to your Facebook profile and I was like, oh, wow, we're connected to some people that I truly love. Like, and then I did some more digging and I was like, wow, this chick is confident. Like, I really like it. And then the more that I dug, then Justin and I did that call with you. And then you mailed me a copy of your book with a handwritten card. And I was just thinking about sending you one, but I don't have your address, but I'll get that off the podcast. We don't want everyone having your new address as you're traveling. But there are moves that you can make if you believe that you can make them. And you shared 3 podcasts that you wanted to be on our mastermind the other night. And I want you to share them with my audience, if you will. And if anyone is listening, and I know a few people that have been on Bigger Pockets. One in particular, Will Brown, who I don't know if you know him, but I could connect you to him. He got on, real estate wholesaler, dropped out of college. He's got a pretty cool story. Dropped out of college, did 100,000 wholesaling his first year. 18 or 19-year-old kid. So he went on Bigger Pockets, but drop those podcasts. I don't know who's listening. Maybe you're out there sleeping on me. I want to see if we can get you on one of them, or all
Thanks,
3
Mark.
of them.
Thank you. Yeah, the 3 are that I would love to be on that would make a huge difference in my business would be Choose FI, and that's with Brad and Jonathan, Bigger Pockets, and Afford Anything with Paula Pant. Those are 3 big goals that I have, and you're so kind to let me share that. It just goes to show what happens when you enter a relationship selflessly and you're looking to give, because the more I give to you, the more you feel compelled to give back. And I think that's the best and most powerful way to begin a new relationship.
It's the best and most powerful way to begin anything, I believe. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the back of my businesses and everything that I've done has come off of giving. And I just give and I give and I give and I give, and for free and for fun. And right now I'm like really focused on providing coaching to people that are stuck. And, some of my friends have hit me up. Some people that are in my inner circle have hit me up. I had a buddy, I just recorded an episode that's going to go out, and it'll be out at the time of this recording drop, but it's called COVID-19. What opportunities are you not seeing? Like, the most aggressive podcast title I've ever dropped. But my buddy Pete, who was the first guest on this podcast, called me the other day, he called me yesterday, and we were like shooting shit and talking, and like kind of, lower end conversation, if you will. And he goes, Mark, I got to cut through the chase. He goes, I'm really fucked up right now. And like businesses around him were closing, and everything, like he was getting nervous and business
Mm-hmm.
wasn't coming in for him. And he's, employees are thinking about, going to employment and all those things. And I just started to ask him, like, what opportunities are you not seeing? And I think that is like a key fabric of your story is like, even at the age of, or whatever age it is in sixth grade, 12,
Yeah, I think so.
12 years old, like you're sacrificing time to educate yourself, to view new opportunities. And I just think it's so powerful. So I'm going to do an ask of you.
Cool. What is it?
Live on the air. I would love for you to come into, and I have not done this on the podcast yet, other than Mr. Anthony Trucks. I'd love to have you come into the podcast community inside of my Facebook group and do a Q&A with individuals in there on finance and how they can take action to create passive income streams.
Awesome.
She
I would
can't
love
say
to.
no, guys. We're live on the air. So,
thank you, Mark. That sounds fun.
No, I love my community to death. I love the people that are in there, and even the ones that are silent and not taking action because their limiting beliefs tell them that, like, I'll never be Rachel. Like, great. You were doing that in sixth grade. I came from shit, blah, 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 whatever stories they've created. Well, I came from shit. I had a single mom who was working full-time as a nurse after she adopted me to put clothes on us. Like, I was wearing bootleg Nikes and getting picked on and, getting in fights, but that's neither here nor there. In school, like I had everything I needed and some of what I wanted, but I didn't have everything I want. And now that I have the means to get pretty much most anything I want, I find that I don't want. It's weird, right?
Yeah.
It's weird. So let me ask you this. If you could drop one nugget, this is something that I haven't brought this back yet. This is something that I did on the end of every episode of season 1, and then I stopped it, but I think I'm going to bring it back. If you could leave one message with my audience, what would it be?
It would be this. Anyone, no matter their age or income, can absolutely achieve financial independence.
Yes, you can. ... Right. That's the best intro to a lead magnet ever. Well, how do I do that? Rachel, where can the Purpose Chasers go see you outside of all the stuff that I'm going to tag you in when this episode drops at the Purpose Chasers all over the place? So,
yeah, my website's moneyhoneyrachel.com. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. I do a lot of educational, fun content and also funny money memes. So those are always fun. So follow me there. My books are on ebook, paperback, and audio on Amazon.
Damn. And they are Money Honey. Passive income, aggressive retirement. I love that. Just love the title. Money Honey.
Thank you.
I haven't said this, I think, since I interviewed Larry Hagner on my podcast, but I'm really, really excited to get to know you and to find out how I can bring value to you and how this relationship becomes reciprocal as we move forward. Guys and gals, what I want to share with you is this bad chick hit me up on Facebook in the comment section. Was I friends with you? Yeah, we were friends.
Yeah, we were friends because we could see each other's profiles. I don't know how.
I don't either. I friended you or you friended me. I don't have a clue. But regardless, she commented. I had no clue who she was, but instantly knew who she was off of one pretty aggressive, skillful comment. And 2 weeks later, I feel like I'm talking to my new BFF. So
I know we've had like 3 calls and I feel like we're just connecting. It's awesome.
So it's perfect. So thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I'm just like really, really excited. I also want to throw out that I would like to have you back and get you inside the community to do some real life Q&A with individuals inside of the community that, they don't really see that there's actions that they could take right now. And I've been talking about this, and I'm going to say this, and then we'll wrap this episode. Inside of the midst of the COVID-19, the coronavirus outbreak, and everything that's going on, it pains me to think about what's going on inside of our hospitals right now, right? Like, I have some good friends of mine that work in there, and they say, like, the media is not portraying what's going on inside of these hospitals. And, it's sad.
Mm-hmm.
But what pains me even more than that is to know the instability inside of like a majority of the households in America, when we have in abundance more opportunities probably than any other country to create the life of our dreams, provided we maintain the right mindset. Rachel, thank you so much for coming on. I look forward to getting to know you. And Purpose Chasers, at the time of this recording, get ready inside of the Facebook community at the Purpose Chasers. I got to look again. I forget. I told Rachel when it was dropping.
May 29th, I think.
Yeah, we are going to get Rachel on the books to come inside the community and do a live Q&A. Who knows? Maybe we'll take it to Facebook and Instagram as well. Rachel,
Yay.
Thank you so much. Great to have you. I will talk
Thank
to
you,
you
Mark.
soon, girl.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Purpose Chasers podcast. If you're ready to take action, don't wait. Head over to thepurposechasers.com to access notes, resources, and a host of other tools to keep you moving forward. And if you want to supercharge your digital presence, visit scaletosaleconsulting.com to partner up with my team and amplify your impact. Let's turn your purpose into your biggest asset. Until next time, keep chasing, keep creating. Your purpose awaits.